Good morning. Who doesn't love their morning jamming with Bob Marley? That's like the best. So usually you're all used to Chris opening up. Chris asked me this morning to go ahead and open up. So let's hope I don't mess this up. But I'm super excited to be here, mostly because of our special guest. And I'm super duper excited to introduce this amazing individual to you. We're going to do something special this morning also. So those of you that can unveil yourself, come join the party. Show up. Let us see your beautiful faces, because this is going to be an amazing talk. It's going to be a conversation with our friend Frank Coronel. And we're going to do something else different this morning. We're not going to start with leaderboards. We're going to put that towards the end, because we really wanted to give our focus and attention to this amazing individual. And I think a lot of people are on vacation this week too. I do know that. And I do know that there's people that are, I know a couple of people on my team, they're amazing. I love them. Stacy and Ayana, who are attending this amazing training. It's a leadership training, not with our company, but outside. And leadership training is so vital to what we do every day. So I'm so proud of these gals. I'm proud of every one of you. And I'm proud of you for showing up, being here today. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give a quick little introduction before I just hand it over to our special guest star, Frank. I'm going to introduce you, and then I'm going to ask that you open up, and we're just going to get right down to the meat and potatoes of what we have in store for you today, because I hope you came hungry, because we have some really good content, folks. Couldn't be a better time, because we have so many brand new people that are super excited about, getting started and getting, just really rocking and rolling and with their opportunity here. And many of you have already figured it out, and some of you are, we're still figuring it out. But let me go ahead, and there we go. Frank Coronel. So this guy is a former Marine, and I want to give you some stats. And I don't even think I have all the full stats, but what I have and whatever I'm missing, he's really humble. But I'm gonna make him tell you, because this guy is amazing. One of my first interactions with him was a while back, and I needed a Spanish-speaking interpreter because mi habla español es muy malo. It's very Spanglish. It's very bad. But Frank knows how to speak Spanish. And what a delightful treat that was. He helped me with these people. And so I got to, see firsthand how he rolls. And it was everything that, I'd hoped it'd be. It was amazing. But this guy, Frank, he's a former Marine. And he started here, I want to say, in just 2021. He does have a background. He'll tell you a little bit more about himself, but I just want to give you some bullet pointed highlights. He's an elite producer. What does that mean? It means that you can write $40,000 or more for 2 months in a row. His highest month of helping families was $67,000 that he wrote in 1 month. Some people do that, in half a year. He was a #1 annuity producer in 2021 when we had our Pogue Hierarchy show, and it was $2.3 million in annuities. And he was the #5 producer. He had 100, and this we're talking about, he started here the very last week of March, so not even a full month, going through December of 2021. In that short period of time, this guy wrote 192 applications equaling $271,000. He was a rookie impact player. And so far to date, in 2022, He's already written $255,000 on his own pen. He's growing. He's amazing. And I want to say he won a trip to Costa Rica. I know that when we went to that Wayland conference, you were on stage, and I want to say that was why. So Frank, if you could open up, and before we fire off some questions to you that we felt like, people might ask you for a person with such achievements as yourself, if you could open up and tell us a little bit about yourself and correct me on that trip to Costa Rica.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. And Stella, thank you so much for inviting me to be here and to pour into everyone here. I'm just blessed and so very grateful to be able to share with you guys, and hopefully you guys can get a little bit from this, and that's what I wish. My journey so far, and just in the insurance industry in itself, has been a really wild one. And I came into the industry in 2005 after I got out of the service. And, I started with a captive agency, and I was with, like a $60-70 billion valued company. And you would think that a company of that size, of that magnitude, would be a place that you would want to call home, a place that you felt safe, an environment that was nurturing. And it wasn't. It felt like you were thrown to the wolves, right? Like it's like, hey man, sink or swim, have fun. And it really was jaw dropping, coming to symmetry and catching the other side of that journey. I probably found maybe 3 people in my entire 14 years with the other carrier that poured into me, that gave me life, that gave me hope, that gave me value of their knowledge. But it was a fight, claw. It was something to behold, to just find people that you could gravitate to, you can grab onto, and that would carry you. So coming here to Symmetry, talk about a breath of fresh air. I was a little jaded, to say the least, right? I came here and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in my own mind, I'm like, this is wonderful. This is great. And I turned to my upline, Jamie Hinckley, and I said, yeah, it sounds good, bud. And in my mind, I'm like, you're not going to be able to do this for 30 days. You're not going to be this is not going to be the same in 6 months. Right? I was just jaded from my previous experience. But lo and behold, I said, let's give this a go, Frank. Let's see what happens. And 30 days later, it was the same. 6 months later, it was the same. A year later, it wasn't the same. It was better. Right? Because everyone here wanted you to be good. Everyone here had your back. Everyone here wanted to pour into you. So I started developing myself probably about 8 years into my journey into insurance. And what ended up happening is when I came to this thing, I was happy to be here. I was excited. I was enthusiastic. And that's what literally drove me, right? I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have all this knowledge of insurance, and, I didn't know the products back and forth. But what I had was an excitement. What I had was an enthusiasm to help people and take care. And so I let that wash over everybody, and people gravitated towards that. Right. So that drove me probably for a good 7-8 years. And then I just hit smacking a wall, and it was like I couldn't do anything more. I grew to a point that I couldn't grow anymore, and I didn't know what to do. And so I always tell this story about how I almost gave up on myself and gave up on this journey. And I literally uttered these words: if I can't figure it out in the next 6 months, I'm quitting and I'm done. And that's an honest admission. And to say that, it really kind of blows me away because of how much I've grown since then. Right. But if we're being honest about things, that's where I was at. And so it really came down to the smallest move making the biggest impact. And what's the smallest move that one can make to make the biggest impact? Right? It's looking inwards, looking inside yourself. Anything good, bad, or indifferent that's ever come into this world has always started from here, from the mind, right? So if we change our outlook, we change what happens around us. And that's what I did. I started looking inward and I started growing myself. I started reading books and I started associating with right people. I started seeking out the information. I literally just hunted it down. And within 6 months, I turned everything around. It was so powerful that the things and the obstacles in my way, I didn't even have to account for anymore because they just disappeared. Literally, the things that were holding me back just disappeared. I didn't have to go over them, through them, under them, around them. It was just gone. It was like almost magical, right? But that was in about 2013. And I kept riding that train and kept going and kept plugging away. And then I found symmetry, and now here we are.
That is amazing. See, and I love, if you haven't caught it, and if you don't have a pen, you're not writing down notes, man, you're going to miss out, because they say what you don't write down, you don't really retain. And even in my short conversations with this guy, every time we talk, I always walk away learning something, and I love it. So thank you for sharing that, Frank. So here's our questions we're going to ask you. And I don't think you answered that one, or I missed it. I'm sorry. Didn't you win a trip to Costa Rica first year?
Yeah, the carrier trip. I think it's the first 90 days. You do X amount of dollars, and you get the trip. That's the one we won. So it was awesome. the Costa Rica trip. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't miss that. Oh my goodness.
I have a funny story about Costa Rica. We had this destination wedding, and it was just talk about just horrible, right? We had family in tow, and it's like, we're going to Costa Rica. What could go wrong? Well, I had less than 6 months on my passport, so they wouldn't let me get on the plane. We had our 2-year-old son in tow. It was mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, wife, my son, and we're all in the same plane. And we're at LAX, and the girl's like, you can't go, because even if we let you go, they're gonna turn you around. You're gonna have to fly right back because your passport doesn't have enough days on it. What to do, right? I said, babe, don't worry. It's like 5 in the morning. Go. I will go to the passport place, which is like 3 miles from LAX. I'll renew my passport. I'll hop on the next plane. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Sounds like a good plan, right? So unbeknownst to me, when they get to Panama, they weren't checked all the way through. Panama doesn't allow them to board the next plane. They have to stay in Panama for the night at some funky hotel, right? And it is just horrible, right? She said, my wife says, the most horrible experience. Meanwhile, back in LA, I get my passport done. The guy's really nice. Everything's good to go. What is the guy supposed to do with 12 hours, right? I go and see a Batman movie at the cinema. I come back, I have lunch. Everything's hunky-dory. There's no connection. I have no contact with the family at this point. I check all the way through to Costa Rica. On the plane, I'm booking my little puddle jumper flight, because once you get there, you have to go to the other side of the island to get to the destination wedding. And so I do all this and everything's fine. I get to the house we rented and they're not there. I left 12 hours later, and I got there 6 hours ahead of them because of this horrible miscommunication with the flight. My wife's with her sister and my 2-year-old son in some sketchy hotel. We're driving through the alleyways of Panama, and I'm just going, oh my God. So that's our Costa Rica journey. It was pretty amazing.
Oh my gosh. So they finally made it, right?
Yeah, they finally made it. I was sitting in the house with my brother-in-law and his new wife at the time, because they had did like this co thing where they vacationed there for their honeymoon, and then they met with us for the wedding. So they got there, and he picked me up from this little sketchy airport that was made of dirt, and I'm like, "Where's everyone at?" He's like, "What are you talking about? No one's here." It was the craziest thing. So my wife does not like Costa Rica, FYI.
Go figure. Oh my goodness. That's a crazy story.
It was amazing.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for sharing. So now we have some questions for you. Frank, my gosh, you wrote $67,000 in 1 month by helping families. What did it take for you to help? What did that look like for you? What did it take for you to help enough families to write $67,000 in 1 month?
It's just a hunger to help. I believe, I think sometimes we kind of try to, we get too in depth into the weeds of how we have to do things and how things need to happen. But if the why is prevalent, the how becomes irrelevant. Okay. You have to really know why you want to do this stuff, honestly. It's okay if it's just about money, right? It's okay if you want to make a good living. Don't be ashamed or bashful about that. If your passion is helping people, then fantastic, right? So just get to know yourself and know what you want, and just, oh man, live that, own that, be that, become that. If you want more, then you do more. If you do more, you can become more, right? And that's just the process of it all. But yeah, if your why is prevalent, the how becomes irrelevant, and it just becomes something that you do, right? So for me, it really wasn't even a journey to 67 grand. It was literally just me having fun, helping people out, having a great time that month, and just kicking butt. And that was it. That there's no magic bullet. There's no special sauce. As John Paul Vetter says, you're not magically delicious, right? And everyone wants that silver bullet. What's the key? What's the magic? What's this? What's that? It's that there is none. I'm sorry, guys, to burst the bubble, but you know what the magic is? The magic is work. The magic is strapping the boots on and just and charging forward, charging through, going to do the work every single day, making your dials, making your appointments, setting with them. And if someone doesn't answer, guess what? Pick up the phone and call someone else. If you want the magic sauce is called one more dial, one more call, one more appointment, right? That's what that is. Because nothing happens here without any of that. Everything starts with you. And if that's the case, pick up the phone. Behind on your credit card bills, pick up the phone and start dialing. Right? You got some bad news and you got a bill, pick up the phone and start dialing. And so we're going to go into this thing, and we're going to unpack some stuff that is going to really impact on what you do and how you do it. Okay. So yes, if your why is strong enough, the how becomes irrelevant. But why don't we just give you the how anyways? Right? How do you write so much business? How do you do this thing? And we'll talk about that.
That's good stuff. And if you didn't write that down, I love what you said. One more dial, one more appointment. If the why is prevalent, the how becomes easy. That's so true. It's kind of like if there's a will, if there's a way. How bad you want it. Everything starts with me. Me. I love that. So let's talk about how that translates. What's the byproduct of that and all of that, because I love when you and I were conversing and we're talking about, people understand dials and having appointments, although it seems so simple and so basic, but yet people have such difficulty with it. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. So with that being said, I love listening to you and how you unfold that with, what that translates to and the byproduct of that. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. We get pounded with, statistics and numbers of what we should be doing and all this stuff. And I think that that's fine, right? To set a benchmark, a baseline of what we need to do, right? And it's easy to say, hey, make your $300 a day, right? Or $500 a week, whatever the case is. But if we start limiting ourselves to that, and if we're doing that 300 dials and not getting our 10 sets, what's the point? Right? We start limiting what we actually are capable of. So I have this thing, it's a technique, it's called reframing. And if you have a picture around that, it's called a frame, right? And so when we reframe, what we're doing is we're changing the picture within the frame. And what does that look like when we talk about dials, right? Our dials are a manifestation of what we want to achieve, right? We dial so we can get the appointments we want, so we can get the sits we want, so we can make the money that we want to make and help the families we need to help, right? But if we only limit ourselves to, say, 300, and once we get to that magical number of 300, we should have the world at our feet, right? But what if that doesn't happen? So what if we just reframe what we do, and instead of worrying about what we dial, how many times we dial a day, what if we reframe that and say, why don't I just dial until I speak with 25 people today? Not 300, just 25. That's it. Just 25 people. What does that do? What does that translate to? I'll tell you this, if you speak with 25 people a day, there are things that are magically going to happen, right? You are going to become magically delicious. But this is the reason why. Because you're going to start communicating with people, having conversations, having discussions. And by the very nature of how many people you're starting to talk to, you are developing your process. You're developing yourself. So forget 300 dials, 25 people. That's it. It's a lower number, but it has a bigger impact because of what's happening, right? The conversations you're having, the discussions. By the very nature of changing how we're looking at things, we're starting to impact not just other people, we're starting to impact and build up our mind. What ends up happening, there's a thing called a neural pathway, right? And it's this thing in the brain that connects the electronic receptors. And when you get really good at something, that neural pathway is just snapping back and forth. It's like a highway in the brain. The reason they say it's like riding a bike is because the neural pathway for you to ride a bike is so in there and it just smashed in the gray matter that when you get on a bike, you're not even thinking about it. You're thinking about what you're going to get at Starbucks when you get there, right? You're thinking about the food that you're going to get when you get to the restaurant if you're biking there. You're not thinking about the actual process of pedaling, of balancing, of keeping forward motion, right? You're not thinking about any of that because what ended up happening when you started biking, you probably fell. Most of us fall. Everyone falls, and you scraped your knee, you scraped your elbow, you got a boo-boo, right? And you cried to mommy and daddy. But what ended up happening is that the brain cemented that idea of getting hurt in your head. And the subconscious takes care of about 90% of what we do. Our bodies, our breathing, our blood pumping, right? All that's happening in the background. And so when you got on that bike that very first time, and you smacked and you hurt yourself, you didn't quit. You got back up and you continued to try again. But the subconscious said, hey, we don't want to feel pain anymore. So let's learn this thing. And so it got so cemented in your brain. Now, when you get on a bike, you don't even think about it anymore, because the subconscious says, hey, we don't want to fall off and get hurt anymore. Right? This is the same thing. You talk to 25 people a day, you're going to start creating a neural pathway in your brain that makes things automatic. It makes it innate. It makes it second nature. And so that when you go and sit in front of someone, you're manifesting a done deal. So when I sit in front of someone, it's ready time. All right. In my mind, it's done. Right? Because I've done it so many times before that I've created this neural pathway that I already know the outcome. I already know the results. I already know that they're going to say yes. And if I continually believe that, I create it. Does that make sense, guys? So it is a little bit of a process, but imagine if you had that ability today. How much more confidence would you have in yourself, in your process? It wouldn't be about the how, right? Because the how is already done. You're good to go. So belief is a huge thing. And the process that you have when you do this thing, if we just reframe on how we think about certain things, it can be so powerful and literally change your business on how you operate. So just think about this. No more 300 dials. 25 people. If that scares you, be 15, right? 15 people. And see what that does for you. Full disclosure, talk with your upline, you know. But I think it's a good thing, because I've had some people do it. It really changed what they did and how they operated, because it really leads to the fact and the idea of being able to communicate with individuals, right? Our job is to connect. Our job is to lead a conversation. And if you're not talking to anyone, you're not doing your job. You're just boop, 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 right? Busy signal.
That's beautiful, Frank. I love that. One of the things that I loved also what you said is, you can focus on that lower of number of people that you're talking to. It's a lower number, but it's such a bigger impact. Like, that is such great stuff right there. That whole reframing that you're talking about, I love it. What would you say, you and I were talking about that process. What about the person that is feeling uncomfortable with, going into that call? And maybe we can bring it on in here. Like, I'm sure people ask you, oh my gosh, Frank, you help so many families. Do you have a magic phrase that you use or say to families, like as a closing line? Like, how do you help so many families?
That's funny. And it kind of leads back into, what we're talking about. There's no silver bullet, right? I don't have a magic phrase. After I do my low and slow pitch to the initial call, I literally just blossom. You guys, I literally just go, so how are you guys doing? What's going on? Right? How was your weekend? Right? I just kind of get colorful and animated. And then I just start asking them about themselves. People love talking about themselves. They love talking about their family, right? They like, love, and laugh. And if you can start tapping into that, right? They're going to appreciate that. They're going to appreciate that honesty, that earnestness when you're showing some type of commitment to them and their family and what's going on. And they gravitate towards that, right? Honesty from you creates the humanity in them. And that's what we want to get to. We want to get to the humanity, because guess what? We're going to ask some tough questions. And I tell folks this all the time. It's all about the setup. I'm telling you right now, it's all about the setup. And yes, it is scary sometimes to have conversations with people when you're talking about death, and you're talking about their kids, and you're talking about the wife not coming home, or the dad having an accident on the freeway. That's a tough conversation to have, right? But how I preface that and how I take myself off the hook, right, is this. It's simple. Hey guys, I'm so glad that we're here and we're talking and we're having this conversation. And I just want to let you know, first and foremost, thank you. But I want to let you know that we're going to have some tough questions to ask. And as tough as they are to ask for you to hear, they're equally as tough for me to ask. And so I get just as uncomfortable asking them as you're going to get answering them. Okay. So let's get that, on the table right away. But a lot of my clients feel the same way. And I know exactly how you feel when I ask these, and what they felt, obviously was uncomfortable. And what we found though, is when we ask these questions, we're able to customize and put a plan in place that really helps the family and really takes care of them. And at the end of the day, isn't that what you want? They always say yes. Yeah, Frank, no worries, man. It literally puts them at ease, and it sets up the stage. And this is the first phone call. We're not even at the appointment yet. I haven't even qualified them on the information. So imagine having a conversation like that with someone. Imagine someone having a conversation with you like that. Do you believe you'd be more at ease, more comfortable, more able and ready to respond to someone if they set up the conversation that way? I'm gonna take a leap here and say yes for you. Because people buy from ones that they know, they like, and they trust, right? Know, like, and trust. So if they know you and they like you and they trust you, they're probably going to buy from you, even if it's more expensive. But we can get into creating value, creating impact. Impact drives income.
That's awesome. That's such good stuff. I mean, I love how you really stressed and emphasized about, getting comfortable and tapping into that. And if you all can't hear his voice, I mean, I hope you can hear the tone of his voice. Just him here talking with all of us right now. I feel that, I'm sure who here, can you feel that closeness, that just comfortable? It's like, yeah, Frank, I'll answer your question. And that's that comfortable tone that he's using with families. And, someone might ask Frank, gosh, you sound just so comfortable and so confident. Man, were you born like that? Like, were you always like that? Because, that's just not me. What would you say to that?
Contrary to popular belief, I'm actually a very introverted person. When when I started this journey and learning how to develop myself and trying different techniques, right, with people, I would literally be shaking, no joke, shaking, scared. But even in the face of that fear, I persisted, right? And if any of you have done anything that has scared you to your core and you did it anyways, and you're like, oh man, that was crazy. And when you go through that threshold, you come out the other side and you're like, you know what, that wasn't that bad. So what I implore you guys to do, what I encourage you to do, is start doing things that just scare you a little bit. It doesn't even have to be in this industry. It doesn't have to even be in this business. It can be anything that kind of gives you a little fret, a little fear, right? But why? Why do something that scares you a little bit? Because when you start to do things that scare you and you do them anyways, the mind starts to callous, right? And you're going, you know what? That wasn't that bad. Okay, I'm good. And you step it up a notch and you do the thing that's a little harder and a little harder and a little harder. But no matter what area of your life you're doing this in, it becomes easier in the face of that same fear. And so when opportunity comes up in any field, the mind already goes, hey, you know what? We did something scary before and we survived and it wasn't that bad. So yeah, let's do this, man. Let's give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? So you start to do these things that scare us and they become easier to do, right? And you may not succeed and that's fine, but it becomes a process, right? And the repetition is what makes it happen. So if you're looking at something to be good at, great at, awesome at, fantastic at, amazing at, repeat, rinse and repeat, repeat, over and over and over again. Do the little things that scare you and you can build from that, right? To master anything in any industry, any genre, takes 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours. Think about that. So if you're not good at something, ask yourself, have I been doing this for 10,000 hours? Right? And if not, give yourself some grace. It's okay. You'll get there. Right? Don't be so hard on yourself. Allow yourself the gray space or the white noise, the white space to do this stuff. Grace is what's going to get you there.
I love that. And that one, there were a couple of things that I wrote down. One of them initially, when you were talking about with people, you know, having that trust and like, there was a national call a while back and somebody said, I think it was T plus L equals B. And it meant trust plus like equals buy.
Yeah.
You know, you reminded me, you know, when you said that, because it's so true. It's so true. I mean, you know, who's going to go in there? Who's going to be a grouchy client that says, you know, there's that tenseness and they don't like you. It's not like they're going to say, sign me up. You know, that just doesn't happen. So that's really great. I love it. And then I love that, you know, you talked about, you know, just kind of, you know, summarizing that. It's really that repetition plus activity. That's the cure-all. You know, when we're talking about, you know, how do you get to this place of confidence? And I really love that. And, you know, I'm a strong believer of that. So you talk about how you go into these, you know, meetings and you meet with these people in your life and you just seem so wonderful. Man, Frank, you must never have a bad day. Like, how do you overcome your days that don't go your way, man?
You know, that's funny. That's part of the grace. I let them go, right? People so down on the days that aren't going their way, and they want to dissect them and hang on to them, and they'll just hold on to that hurt, right? Because it's so easy to sit there and wallow. It's easy to do that, but I just let it go, right? What's the point? I treat my successes just as well as I treat my victories, just as well as I treat my follies. I give them the same reverence. And why? Because if you succeed and you live there too long, you're going to rest on your heels, rest on your laurels. And if you treat your upsets and stay with them too long, you're just going to end up in a black hole of misery. So you got to make a choice. And so I choose to learn from my mistakes and go, you know what? Okay. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. All right, my bad. I jacked up there. I was being too funny, right? And then I'll let it go. And then I'm like, man, that was a great sale. That was a fantastic family. That was awesome, that appointment, man. Let's go find someone else. And then you let it go. You treat the ups and the downs with the same reverence. You don't live there too long. Okay. I've had weeks where it's been, 10, 15 grand week. And by Friday, I was wiped. I thought I had the most horrendous week because I had so many no's and so many people just like basically crapping on me. And it wasn't fun. And I'm just sitting there wallowing. And I catch myself and I go, wait, let's take a look at how the week went. And you look back and you're like, whoa, we just did 13 grand. And you take account, right? But because you're going through it and experiencing it and living with these people, right? It felt like, man, that week was just terrible. And it was the complete opposite. So it's going through the fire is what hardens us, right? Trudging through that, lean in to the pain. Don't lean away from it. You lean into that pain and it's going to forge you. It's going to make you tougher. It's going to make you stronger. The reason they say strike while the iron's hot is because that's when it's the most malleable. So if you want change, go through the fire. Go through it and let it mold you. Let yourself be malleable. Create something with it. Right, Ashley? Be that one that goes and stands up to it. Because it's the only way that the change is going to happen. And it works. So trust me when I tell you this, you want to do 60 grand in a month? It's going to hurt, right? Because you're going to have to go through much stuff to get there. Okay. Even 20 grand in a month, I'm telling you, it's going to hurt. But we start getting used to the pain. And then all of a sudden, you become this weird animal that searches and seeks it out and like you're looking for it, right? You're starting to welcome it. You become this sadistic animal. And that's okay, because what is the byproduct of that, right? I said impact drives income. The more you're able to impact people, the higher your income is going to go. I have this little thing I call poke in the heart, right? And poke in the heart just means that you're literally affecting some individual and you're walking them down the stairs, right? You walk them down a staircase of death and heartache, and you say, hey, you know what, Jim, I know you love your family. We've had some great conversations. And if you got into an accident, on the freeway coming back home, obviously next week's going to be pretty terrible for your wife and your kids. And I'm sure you're still going to want them to go on and move forward. But if there was a way that we could help them out, even in your absence, wouldn't that be something you want to do? Right? Every single time they're going to say yes. And I'll tell you why. Poking the heart literally gives them the most painful idea in their mind. And the subconscious always wants to get you away from pain, heartache, and stress. So if you give them the out after giving them the pain, they're going to take it every single time. I had one of my agents goes, man, that sounds manipulative. Right? And I said, maybe. I go, it could be nefarious. Yeah, but what if you're doing this to help people get out of their own way? What if you're using this for good? What if you're using this to develop someone's idea of how they can take care of their family? Because the inevitability is death.
That's right. It's like talking someone off a cliff. If someone's ready to commit suicide and you ask them the right questions, but you're walking them down the alternative if they do it, that's for the good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So good. I love it.
So Frank, what kind of leads did you buy? What did you invest in to be able to help so many families, to write $67,000 of business in 1 month? We talked about this and I love this.
So I do various leads, so A's and call-ins and bonus leads. Aside from leads though, imagine if every single person you helped, every single one, you asked them at the very end of the call, hey guys, thank you so much. I absolutely love what I do and love helping families. I want to show my gratitude to you guys. And thank you again for allowing me literally the pleasure of helping the family. And did you guys enjoy this? Was this helpful? Obviously. So if so, about 70% of my business comes by way of referral. If you have friends or family or anyone that I can help as well, that I'd be so grateful for that. Who do you have in mind? And so this is something that one of my coaches told me before. I'll say it the polite way. You be quiet. First person that talks loses. Right? He said it a different way. Yeah, S the F up and the first person that talks loses, right? And then you just wait and hear a response. And so ask for a referral every single time, because if you just did something that impacted someone and it helped them and they were happy and excited that you took care of them, why wouldn't they recommend you? Why wouldn't they refer you? You're not going to get it every single time, but if you ask every single time and say just 25% of the time, they said, you know what? Let me call my sister because we were talking about this. You just gave me a great idea. Or here, call my neighbor Tom. He's been looking for someone to help him out, and for some reason he just hasn't been able to get it. And so now you have another lead. And you didn't spend 40 bucks on it. You didn't spend 20 bucks on it. You didn't spend 50 cents on it. So constant activity, even when you're closing, right? These little processes, they build and they stack on each other. And if you're doing them all the time, just by the very nature of your activity and the process that you're doing, you're going to get a bite. You're going to catch another fish, right? So not just leads, but part of your process should be asking for referrals, actively asking for referrals. It's huge. Imagine if you just asked the one question and that landed you a $20,000 account. How good would you feel? right? By asking a simple question, right? You guys, you know, man, I love helping people, and a lot of my business comes by way of referral. Do you guys have anyone in mind, friend or family, that we can help out? They almost feel obligated to help you. Nay, if you help them out, they feel obligated to help you, right? Because what you just did for them and their family was so impactful, so important.
Yeah, I love that. That was a big focus of ours recently, and a lot of people here got paid out on referrals. I think Stacy, you got like $600 in referral bonus I saw, and a lot of other the rest of you, you know, collected on it too. Even myself and Donna and Terry, Ayana. And if I miss saying your name, sorry. I know there's a lot of people. I know Chris paid out a lot of people on referrals, but it was fun because, you know, it really made people think about, you know, asking for referrals, and that's such good stuff. You know, 3 of my applications this last week came from referrals. They weren't even, you know, new business. And it's just, I'm just now starting to get in a better habit of asking. So Frank, you know, gosh, you know, I love so much of what you've had to share, and I know we're getting close to the end of the hour. We cannot close this out without asking you, you know, because you've had so much success. I read off, for those of you that missed in the very beginning, you know, sorry, I know you're a humble guy, but, you know, it's worth celebrating to just, you know, understand, you know, what you're talking about, you know, being an elite producer, writing $67,000 in 1 month, you know, being rookie impact player, and, you know, winning a trip to Costa Rica, and already writing 255,000, you know, just on your own pen year to date. I mean, so what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's brand new here? Or even if they're not brand new, you know, anybody, any one of us, what kind of advice, you know, would you give, knowing that, you know, somebody new's coming in going, you know, gosh, I want to do all that. Or, you know, or just even if they want to just make something like 5,000 a month, you know, whatever their goal is, just to get at it. What kind of advice would you give to them, brother?
I'll give you guys a few things that you can internalize and use today. First, there's 3 things that you can do to impact your business, right? It's the number of people you see, number 1. Number 2 is the quality of your presentation. And number 3 is the quality of that relationship. So, number of people you see, quality of presentation, quality of relationship. Very simple, right? We say this business is simple, it's not always easy. So we'll give you some simple things to utilize and use to impact yourself, your business, and you can implement them today. The second thing I will give you guys is how to handle objections. And this is a good one. It's feel, felt, found. The thing works beautifully. Right? So I don't care what the objection is. Any objection you can possibly think of. Well, you know, Donna, I know exactly how you feel. A lot of my clients have felt the same way. And what we have found is that when we go through this process so that we can secure and help your family, they're better off for it. So let's go ahead and proceed with this. Okay. Feel, felt, found. So the feel part is you create empathy, right? I know exactly how you feel. The felt is now we're creating a company. A lot of my clients have felt the same way. So now we're putting them into a group of people that are alike, right? Birds of a feather flock together. And then what we have found, now we're creating a solution. So the feel, felt, found, it creates this nice crescendo that overcomes most objections. And if you can do it, with some passion, some vigor, right? Put a little energy into it. People usually respond really well to it. Okay. So we got the quality, quantity of people, quality of presentation, quality of relationships. Those are the 3 Qs. We got the 3 Fs, the feel, felt, found. And so how do we make a connection? Right? How do I like leap into someone's life, even if it's over the phone? Like, love, and laugh, man, the 3 Ls. Find out something they like. Talk about them, their family, their interests, their hobbies. Find out what they love. And then make them laugh. I'm so self-deprecating, guys. It's the funniest thing. I make myself laugh because I'm making fun of myself. And I'll do this sometimes to my detriment on the phone with folks, and then I'll apologize, right? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just kind of goofy that way. It's my nervous tick. You guys are making me nervous, right? So I'll put all the stuff on me. But like, love, and laugh, this is a way to get into people's life, into their heart. And then what do we say? People buy from ones they know, they like, and they trust. So if you can like, love, and laugh, feel, felt, found, you know, cue them all up, they're going to know you, they're going to like you, and they're going to trust you, and they're not going to know why. Because these 3 things that I just shared with you is a way to get into people's minds. You slip right in there, gray matter, right? And it streamlines the process. So develop yourself to do this, and I'm telling you, you'll start knocking some cool stuff out of the park. And then if you do it enough and you repeat it enough, right? Consistency and grace. Consistency is that repetition over and over and over and over again, creating that neural pathway that we've talked about. The grace is giving yourself the space to do it well enough, so that if you mess up, it's okay. The world's not going to end. Consistency and grace. Repetition with your ability to give yourself a little pause and go, you know what? Didn't get it right that time, but I'll give it another go. And there's a consistency. As they say, you stick it out till you figure it out in this business. And the only way you lose here is if you quit.
That is so good. That's exactly right. The only way to lose here is if you quit. If you quit on yourself. Because we all know the system works. It's not about the system. It's about whether we want to stick it out till we figure it out, like you said. And, you know, I just want to recap, you know, what you said about everything you just applied, because some people, like I know for me in the very, very beginning, I thought, well, I don't want to manipulate people. That's not who I am. We're not. We're talking them off of the cliff or off the fence. They obviously know they want to be helped. Like somebody is going to help them. Why not let it be you? And the only difference between you helping them and somebody else out there is someone else who's made that connection and is doing everything like Frank is saying, you know, applying that, you know, building the quality of that relationship, the quality of their presentation, you know, and the quality of the people that they see. So that is so great, Frank. So grateful. I've got like 4 pages of notes down. Just such good stuff. And so grateful to have you here. What a blessing it is to be able to soak in, you know, what you've learned. Can you just wrap it up with the one story? I love your story about when you were a Marine, because that's really powerful to me.
Yeah. You know, I always think about this because in the Marine Corps, we qualified. I qualified as a expert marksman with the rifle and the pistol, and that wasn't by chance, right? It wasn't by chance whatsoever. We trained after. I'll give you guys two quick stories. One about the training and the weapons, but another one about the power of the mind. So after boot camp, you go to something called School of Infantry, and that's at Camp Pendleton. It's like 2 months, and they literally just beat you up, and you're out in the field pretty much all the time, and you're dirty, you stink, and you're eating MREs, and it's just terrible, right? But you're living the life, the grunt life. And so the last part of SOI, School of Infantry, is like this 25-mile hike. And so you're in the field for maybe two months already, and your body's beat up and beat down and broken. It's terrible. And that's the point. And so the 25-mile hike, it goes till about 2 in the morning. And everyone's just pretty much dead tired. And we're at mile 10. And my mind and my body is breaking down. I'm seeing stars. I could barely breathe. It was 70-pound pack on my back and all the gear and ammo and weapons. And if you don't complete this hike, you get cycled back to the beginning of this terrible 2 months, the terrible 2, right? And at mile 10, we stopped, took a break, drinking some water. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm about to pass out. I can't do this anymore. I'm done, right? I literally was dehydrated and going into some type of shock. And then I stopped. I had a negotiation with myself, and I said, you know what, Frank? Bullshit. We're going to complete this. We're going to walk another 15 miles. We're not going to give up. We're not going to pass out. We're going to put one foot in front of the other. And that's that. And so I made a commitment in my mind of what was going to happen, and it was no negotiation anymore. 3 hours later, it was 4 hours later, we finished, and I limped my ass into the barrack, passed out. But it gave me a little insight and a little preview of how powerful this thing is. And when you have zero negotiation and 100% manifestation of what is going to happen, the mind makes it happen because it all comes from here, right? That's the power of the mind. Simple things to do. The other thing you didn't become a pistol expert right off the bat. And so I was telling Stella this story that we were training in Virginia, and it was like 110 degrees and 99% humidity. It was just disgusting. But we had our pistol in the pouch, and the pouch had a flap, and the flap had a D-ring. And in order to unholster it, you'd have to pull down on the D-ring, lift the flap up, and then you can negotiate your weapon. But it was only through practice and repetition again and again and again and again and again, like thousands of times, that by the end of the 3 months of training, it was done. Within milliseconds, it was unholstered, ready to fire. But it's through that repetition that allowed us to negotiate and be so good at what we did. So here's the key. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Anything worth doing and anything worth being good at, you want to do it slow. And then it becomes smooth. And then once it's smooth, start running.
Such an awesome story. Thank you so much, man. Just thank you so much. Thank you, Frank. Thank you. That was really, really good. It was really awesome. I know we went a little bit past the hour. Thank you so much for those of you that stuck it out with us. I know a lot of us have appointments, but I just, I did say you can ask him a question. So I don't know if you have time for like maybe one question, Frank.
Yeah, have at it.
Anyone here have a question for Frank? It'd be like,
I don't have a question. I just have a comment and it's in a form of a thank you, because Frank stepped up for me with a Spanish speaking family, and I couldn't hear the words, but I could see him, or I didn't understand the words, but I could see him disarm the family. You could see the couple just as he started talking to them, they're like, okay, they started to settle in. You could really see how he, as he said, slides into the gray matter. And thanks again for your help with that. It was good. I mean, it was in a couple hours, he was on a Zoom helping me out. So, I mean, this guy's living a grateful life. That's for sure.
Thanks, Jim.
that's awesome. Well, unless anyone else has any questions, Chris, I'm going to hand it over to you. Thank you for letting us take over this call. That was so good, Frank. Like, I'm seeing all the comments, and my phone was blowing up on the side, people on my team just talking about, I had Jennifer saying, oh my gosh, just 25 calls is so much easier than 300 dials. So you certainly made a huge positive impact with a lot of people. And I'm sure the people that don't even say anything, I know they're walking away with some really good nuggets today, because I know I am.
Good. That's the point.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Frank. Really appreciate you being on with us today and sharing some highly, highly valuable information. And guys, I mean, time we get this opportunity to have somebody like this on, I know a lot of you were taking notes, and go back and rewatch this. We'll put this recording out, watch it over and over again. And hey, go to conference, meet Frank in person, and ask him some questions one-on-one. That's the beauty of this event coming up here in a couple of weeks. And we look forward to the opportunity to meet Frank in person and kind of pick his brain, catch him, just to try to drag him away from the conference for a minute to steal some information. So Frank, appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys, I tell you, don't be afraid to come up and say hi. When I first came in, I really loved the Dave Lappin script. And I found love with Dave Lappin, right, in idea. And so we were at the conference last year, at the Whaling Conference, and I was fortunate enough to meet him backstage. And I accosted him, like I came in for this big old hug, and he's like, "Who's this dude coming in for a hug?" Right? He had no idea who I was, but I went in for a big hug, and I gave him a hug to his dismay. And then I'd introduced myself, so it was like all ass backwards, but it was the funniest thing. And the mess is what makes the fun, man. Just so make life messy, let it be messy, and just have fun with it, guys. But yeah, come say hi. Remember, I'm the introvert, so I'm probably gonna be shy.
We'll break you out of your shell. That's or either that, or the rest of us who are also introverts, we'll all stand in the corner and stare at our shoelaces until somebody comes talk to us. So very good. All right, gang, let's hit some leaderboards before we wrap up the call. Again, a big thank you to Frank for hopping on. Let's hit some leaderboards, quick announcements, and we will let everybody run for the end of the week. I know we have appointments to finish up, and you guys are going to finish out the week strong, and got more business to put in the pipeline. So let's hit, and we're going to do last week, because we had the main call, we didn't hit the leaderboards last week. I'll roll through these pretty quickly, so listen fast. And but we definitely want to give recognition to everybody who went out. We finished the month of July very, very strong. In fact, I got to go back and check the numbers. I think we hit, if we didn't break an all-time record, we scared it pretty badly. So guys, you did an awesome job across the board. Base Shop, Dinwiddie Agency, the Vetter Agency. And again, we're going to run the numbers, but I think we probably set a new high water mark for business written in the month of July. But we have, so for the last week of July, we had Julie Baker and she was a new writer for that week. So brand new writer on the Stella Dinwiddie team. Congratulations, Julie. Submitted her first application for $90 APB, and that is awesome. Love to see that. Every application is an individual protected. And so thank you, Julie, for going out and protecting somebody and starting your business. Marilyn Moreau had 2 applications, $778 direct to Terry Myers. Donna Bates, 2 applications, $781 direct to Spencer Cushion. Brad Lombardi, 3 applications. App counts climbing there, Brad. Great job. $1,888 direct to myself. Ayanna Phillips had 1 application, $2,119 direct to Terry Myers. I went out, wrote a couple apps for $2,131 direct to Scott Mank. Terry Myers, 4 applications, $2,212 direct to Stella Dinwiddie. Stella leading from the front as always with 6 applications. App count, nope. No, I started to give her app count lead. She got beat out. We'll get to that here in a second. 6 applications, $3,776 direct to myself. Spencer Cushion, 3 applications, $4,835 direct to myself. Stacy Love, 9 applications. There's your app count winner for the week. Stacy Love, 9 applications, $6,928, finishing out the month of July strong. Direct to Donna Bates. And the number 1 writer, gang, and we got a shout out on the Mank hierarchy call for Sydney Lee, who went out and wrote a DFL. And so that DFL case was about a $17,000 reported APV case, but those are capped. All applications are capped. You write anything that's over $7,500, it gets capped at $7,500. You get the credit, you get paid for it, but from a leaderboard standpoint, all applications over $7,500 are capped. So Sydney had 1 application for $7,500 APV, but we know the real numbers are much higher than that. So hats off to Sydney. Guys, be asking questions every time you write a mortgage protection. Hey, we just protected your mortgage. Would you like to now pay that mortgage off in 9 years or less, including all other debts, student loans and everything, 9 years or less without spending any extra money than you're currently spending? If the answer is yes, then you set up a appointment with Sydney and she will help your family set that up. And guess what? She'll help your family. They'll be happy. You'll be happy because you get paid additional for helping that family out, not only protecting their mortgage, but also helping them pay that off. Okay. Enough about that. Let's hit leaderboards from this week so far. And again, this is as of about 9:30 this morning Central. So I know we've got a lot of appointments for the day, a lot of more business coming in, but let's hit what we've got so far. Sean Wellington, 1 application, $123 direct to Terry Myers. I believe that is new writer. Stella, is that correct? Okay. I didn't see that pop up as a new, I think it actually did. It may have been below the screen, but anyway, congratulations, Sean, joining the writing sales force. Again, part of that fast growing Terry Myers team. Congratulations, Sean. Julie Baker got on the boards for the 2nd week. So that's what we like. Consistently keep those applications coming in. 1 application, $123 direct to Stella. Brad Lombardi, 1 application, $352 direct to myself. Spencer Cushion, 1 application, $1,978 direct to myself. Stella Dinwiddie, again, leading from the front, 4 applications, $1,982 direct to myself. Donna Bates, 2 applications, $2,627 direct to Spencer. And Stacy Love, so far, number 1 for the week. 3 applications, $2,713 direct to Donna Bates. And for the month of July, let's go ahead and hit some leaderboards real quick. We're just going to hit top 10, and this is for the entire hierarchy. So this includes everybody and the Vetter agency as well. Top 10, again, monster month, guys. We had Wendy Cox, 9 applications, $15,000 direct to Sean Cochran. Terry Myers, 17 applications, $15,224 direct to Stella. Stephanie Stubbs, 8 applications, $16,292 direct to John Paul. Spencer Cushion, 14 applications, $18,358 direct to myself. Alicia Metzen, 20 applications, $18,544 direct to John Paul. We had Stella Dinwiddie leading from the front, 20 applications, $19,608. Just a strong month. Great job, Stella. Stella, I hate to tell you this, but you got beat out by like maybe $200 by Mr. John Paul Vetter. That's a throwdown. I would not let that happen again. John Paul Vetter, 14 applications, $19,874. Yeah, that's not going to stand. Let's make sure that doesn't happen again. Salvatore Manzo, 22 applications, $21,858. Direct to Joanna Doibin. Jenny Gray, 22 applications, $22,105. Direct to John Paul. Number one for the month, guys, and she put together a monster month. Stacy Love, 35 applications, $26,434. Number one rider in the entire Menifee hierarchy. Great job, Stacy. And while we're talking about this, let's go ahead and make another big announcement, the biggest one that we can always make at any given month. Our Golden Chicken Award winner, Miss Stacy Love, with 35 applications. She brings home that much coveted hardware, the Golden Chicken. So Stacy, you will be, and again, given supply chain shortages, sometimes within the next 2 or 3 weeks, you should have a Golden Chicken landing on your doorstep. Make no promises on when that will happen, but it will happen some point. So great job, Stacy. Let's go ahead and hit a couple of announcements, and then we're going to wrap up the call, gang. Appreciate you all jumping on here. So we had, hang on just a second. Let me go ahead and hit this one real quick, and then I got to change screens here for a second. Guys, Gathering of Eagles in Branson, arrival October 14th. It's going to be the 15th to 16th. I'm sure a lot of you will be coming in that evening. Man, we have got an agenda lined up for you. So we're going to have fun and get stuff done. And that is part of our core tenets of, in fact, it's actually written into law, so to speak, symmetry law. So if you look at our core values, that's actually in there. So Jacob, myself, Scott, Mank, we're all going to be there. So it's going to be a combination of a deep dive into leadership development. I mean, guys, we're going to do some impactful work, but in between that, we're going to go out and we're going to have a blast. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're putting together, Ashley's doing some great work, doing some research for me, coming up some fun things to do, great team building exercises, great, just good all around clean fun. And be there, be square. Watch the qualifications, key leader or above. Or if you're not a key leader, you say, oh, I'm not a key leader. This is terrible. I'm going to miss out. Life is not worth living. Fear not, gang, you can still qualify, because all you have to do is hit 1 month of key leader qualification between now and in October. So what is qualification? Key leader qualification. To become a key leader, you have to have $20,000 issue paid and 4 riders. So count yourself and then find 3 other people to submit an application. And I don't care if that's 1 application for $100 or 10 applications for $10,000, doesn't matter. Get 3 other riders and yourself, and again, get as a cumulative as a team, get to $20,000 issue paid. And you will be qualifying to join us on this amazing journey. So again, be there, be square. Let me change screens here and pull up our last announcement. And then again, we will let everybody run off to their appointments. Apologize, whenever I pulled up one thing, it got rid of my other thing that I wanted to announce. Guys, wanted to give a huge shout out. Stella mentioned it, and thank you, Stella, for bringing it up and pointing out to Frank that we got some folks that are doing exactly what he recommended. I love that Frank brought that up, guys. $67,000 in 1 month. I guarantee you that was not all leads. That was, and I love the fact that he made it as casual as just asking, hey, do you like how I helped you? Do you know of anybody else that I could help? What do we say? 60% of clients, according to the Sandler training system, 60% of clients would give you a referral if they were only asked. Doesn't mean if they were asked in a special way with trick language that tricks them into giving you their entire phone book of names. No, if you just simply ask them a question, hey, who do you know that could benefit from these services? 60%, 6 out of 10, however you want to break that down, will say, yeah, actually, I do know somebody. Talk to this person. So hats off. Stacy Love led the pack. 4 referrals. Guys, that's great. So what I wanted out of this, yeah, we gave you some lead credit, and that's great. But what I would love to see is, now that you kind of realize that that can happen, you develop that muscle. I love what Frank was talking about, just doing that same thing over and over again, repeating that process. I'm trying to look for the notes here that I wrote on exactly what he said. But basically, well, one of the things he touched on, I'm reading a book about this right now, is the neural pathways. Guys, you start doing that, and you start creating grooves in your brain, literally, tracks for your thoughts to run on. And, you start asking for those referrals. So hats off to everybody that went out there. Let's do more of that. Grow your business. Grow your business while lowering your overhead. And our overhead is stupid cheap in this business anyway, guys. I mean, if you think about it, you can go out and spend $1,000 a lead and go out and write $10,000 in business. Where can you go do that? But what if you spent that same $1,000, and now through referrals, you're writing $15,000 because you picked up an extra 5 referrals or 5 applications. So, all right, gang. That is everything we have this morning for leaderboards, announcements, conference. Last thing I'm going to say, conference, gang. Frank Coronel, and he touched on it. It's kind of one of those things we kind of, at a certain point, we just start taking it for granted. So we don't talk it up a lot when we have, a guest comes on, they don't talk it up a lot, but because they just assume if you want to perform at a level like what a Frank Coronel does, or even if you want to do half, you want to write $60,000 because he said it wears them out. Okay, we'll write 30,000 or write 10,000. What if you wrote, a fifth or a sixth of what he wrote? Well, it's still going to have to happen with personal development and growth, bottom line. So join us in Denver and find out how Frank and everybody else who shows up on the leaderboards in an organization of, I don't know how many licensed agents we have now, but several thousand. And we just had one on here whose name shows up every week on the leaderboards. You have an opportunity to go up and talk to that guy. That's the beauty and the power of our event that's coming up in less than 2 weeks now, or about 2 weeks. So, all right, gang, listen, let's wrap it up. I'm not going to ramble anymore. Thank you all for jumping on. Let's go out and let's make it happen. Can't wait to see you all in Denver here in a couple weeks. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.